Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. The world of cannabis, fastly changing. I mean, it's been, THC has been around for a long time, has helped people all through the years. It's finally, in the last number of years, being more respected, being more recognized. Of course, CBD, part of the mix as well. But there's a lot of developments, new products. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't know that was going on. We're going to talk with some experts there. And not just any. This is the first and only certified living wage recreational cannabis dispensary in Canada's capital. They really care about their clients. They really care about their team and their products as well. And we're going to bring them in here today. GoodNatureCannabis.ca is the company, and Clayton Armstrong is the owner and founder, and he joins us with his guy Mike from his team. Hey, how you both doing today?
Fantastic. How are you doing? So good.
Yeah, same here, and gratified that you guys are back on with us, and also, I got to be honest, intrigued to learn what's new. I mean, we've talked about, and many are aware of what's out there in terms of gummies, flower, drops, and all of that. And there's different strains and all, which we can get to. But what's new? Just say that. What's new?
I would say, some of the newest products that really seem to be sort of rocking everyone's socks are some of the sublingual things. There's people who are really used to taking like a 10, 20, 30 milligram edible, and if you're taking an edible the traditional way, the onset time is, sometimes 45 minutes to an hour. That's too long for some people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, there's new products that are coming in a few different forms, and the idea is that you put them underneath your tongue and you let them absorb through your saliva gland sublingually, and doing that is going to offer you a few benefits, right? The first being that the onset is going to be much quicker, say 5 to 10 minutes, right, as opposed to a traditional 45 minutes to an hour with an edible, right? So you're going to know very quickly if the amount you've just taken in 5 or 10 minutes, the way you feel, is that enough, or are you going to have to take a little bit more? So it helps figure out the dosing more quickly, and if you're used to taking a traditional chocolate gummy chocolate edible or gummy edible, 10 milligrams, you'll notice a slight increase in the feel in taking something sublingual, right? And so that can look like a sublingual drop that's sort of made to do that, or you can even see it now in almost like a Listerine-style breath freshening strip, where you put it on your tongue and it sort of dissolves on your tongue, and it the cannabinoids enter your bloodstream that way, right? So imagine a Listerine breath freshening strip, but without the breath freshening agent, right, with the THC element to it. So it really is every week there is a new way to
wow yeah, I'm blown away here.
To take THC. Yeah,
that's one of so we have a new product drops every kind of 3 months. It happens every quarter about in our area here in Ontario. So there's hundreds of new products. That's one of them. What trends in the industry when it comes to vaping is there's distillate vapes, there's liquid diamond vapes, and there's live resin, live rosin. And everyone's kind of getting away from this distillate, which is basically just THC extracted out and then added flavor to it. And they're going to sort of more of that whole plant vape experience, which comes from live rosin and things like that, where they're taking sort of the whole plant, and you're getting that entourage effect, and it's more like smoking cannabis, I would say, in the effects of it, but still vaping.
Instead of in a distillate vape, which is literally just a concentration of THC with some botanical terpenes added for flavor. In a live resin or live rosin vape, you're literally getting the THC concentrated, the terpenes concentrated, and all of the other minor cannabinoids concentrated. So the three things that sort of come together to get you high in a cannabis plant, a live resin vape has sort of concentrated all three of these things. So it's not something that is necessarily new to the market, but its popularity, it's had a real sort of shot in the leg, and its popularity is sort of soaring right now, the live resin vape parts. Another thing, too, that really has sort of started to pick up are the topicals. And I have to be honest, the first time someone told me, take some of this THC and rub it all over your body, I was skeptical, to say the least.
Yeah,
So, I had to try it to become a true believer. But now that I am sort of into that world, it is unbelievable, some of the topical products that have come out. And just the relief and sort of the first-hand things that I have seen them do for people, it's nothing short of amazing, that's for sure.
Lots of questions here. You use the word entourage effect, or those two words. I've heard of that before, but not really sure what it is. Can you explain?
Yeah, so basically everyone sort of, the psychoactive property of cannabis, the part that gets you high or makes you feel a buzz, that is just one aspect of this plant. We have the CBD compounds that we talked about, and we have terpenes, which terpenes are in anything that has sort of flavor. Steak has terpenes, tomatoes have terpenes, wines are well known, when you talk to a sommelier and they're talking about chocolate and hazelnut notes. Those are all terpenes within the grape that they've got to come out in the wine. So it's super similar with cannabis. And what science hasn't exactly figured out is you can take the THC out, but it's not the same as when you have all those other terpenes and cannabinoids, minor and major, all put together. It affects sort of it affects the high, it affects your the effect of the high, whether it's sedative or uplifting, or whether it's focusing or inspires creativity. All these things seem to be dictated by that entourage effect. We can't just give someone THC and they're going to get those effects. So that entourage effect, they're talking about just every other thing in the plant that we don't know how it's sort of working with each other to dictate these effects, but we do know that there is a huge difference. That's why when they made THC pills, they thought that was the end of cannabis, because they've now synthesized a pill, but then they realized it does not do the same thing. So there's other things at work.
So it seems like a tincture, sublingual, is really one of the best ways to go in terms of quick absorption. That being said, can you walk us through changing the dosage? Because I heard you say that before. Let's say you take something under your tongue, you wait 15, 20 minutes, you feel something, but you're thinking, man, maybe it should be more. How do you up the dosage, and how do you walk that journey?
So the first thing I want to say about sublingual, if you are a cannabis smoker, right, and you are trying to look for a smokeless future in cannabis, a sublingual oil is one of the things that can really, really replace smoking effect-wise, right? So, any kind of edible, any kind of thing you're going to absorb sublingually, you want to start with a very, very, very low dose, especially if you're new to cannabis products, because unlike a joint, you can't just stop smoking it if all of a sudden you feel too high or you start to feel uncomfortable. And that is the last sort of experience that we want people to have with cannabis, right? An uncomfortable, unenjoyable experience is not the goal, right? So low and slow, I would start with 1 milligram. All of these tinctures come with a syringe labeled with dosages on it. I would start with a 1 milligram dosage, and I would go up by maybe 0.5 milligram or 1 milligram increments until you find something that's just right for you. And just because your friend takes 10 or your other buddy takes 17, that doesn't mean anything. It's a very, very, very personal thing. 2 milligrams might be perfect for you. So it's really about finding what's right for you. You're unlike alcohol, let's say, a cannabis experience needs to be very, very tailored to the individual. There is no one size fits all for cannabis.
And
I have a good story about this.
Please go.
I had made some edibles, and I had put them in my fridge. And my wife and I went away for the weekend, and my mother-in-law came over to look after our dog. Now, I had warned my mother not really to eat anything in the fridge, but she has a bit of a chocolate addiction. She loves chocolate, and I had made some butterscotch squares with a chocolate drizzle. Now, that chocolate drizzle had some THC in it, and quite a bit. She chiseled the chocolate off the top of the butterscotch squares and ate it all. So I got a phone call from my brother-in-law who was like, what was in those? My mom is not feeling herself. And I said, and he was really worried. And I said, listen, don't worry. It was an indica. All she's going to do is have a great sleep and be really hungry. And it was exactly that. If it was a sativa-based, I would have been a lot more worried because that could have had sort of the opposite effect of what I was just saying. So luckily, the butterscotch squares I had made in my fridge were of the indica variety, so I knew she was just going to have a great sleep, and she did. So.
Wow, that's funny. And I've seen friends before, a long time ago. Friend Joe tried some brownies that somebody made. I don't know how much was in there, but I just know it wasn't a good experience for him, and he'll never do it again. That's what he says. I'm not doing that again. And he's, he's pretty open, to things, but that it just was a pretty harsh experience for him at that time. Again, I don't know what was mixed in there. I don't know, the concentration of the oil or anything like that. Let's talk about the high effect. So many people want it. So many people don't want it. How do you balance that out so you get what you need?
Well, this is the thing. In today's day and age, you have to have a very diverse array of products in your cannabis store. Especially, unfortunately where we are, we have to compete with illegal cannabis stores. And, the way to really do that is to have a serious focus on wellness. That is something you're not going to find in an illegal cannabis dispensary, and like you were saying before, right? Like, maybe if you're trying to party or have a good time and your friend makes some really strong brownies or something, that's one thing. But when you're really getting serious about wellness and when you're really depending on a certain cannabinoid replacement for something to do in the wellness realm, you really can't be messing around with, I'm not sure how strong this is. So that's really where the regulated market starts to shine in that wellness category. And also in the availability, right? Maybe your friend gets sick one week and he can't make those brownies. Well, a company that's providing gummies for all of Ontario they're not gonna run out, right? So the nice thing about the regulated market is you can get such specific isolated cannabinoids. If you want no psychoactive effects, there is an array of products that can provide that for you, right? No THC, but maybe very high in CBN for sleep, or high in CBD for pain, or maybe very high in CBG for a relaxing effect, or if you're trying to stimulate appetite, right? These cannabinoids have all kinds of benefits that especially because they've sort of recently been isolated. You're finding all kinds of fantastic things happening for people using these different cannabinoids.
And on the rec side of things, Mike and I are huge consumers of cannabis. We love it. We enjoy every minute of our job and testing products and things. To know exactly what we're getting, again, that third-party testing from the government, the oversight, in an illegal store or online, they can say, oh, this is 100% THC. There's no testing to it. There's no... It's just someone writing that down.
Yep.
So with us, with government testing, government third parties involved, it's this percent. That's what it is. So as a recreational guy, I know exactly what I'm getting. Again, the availability. I like this strain. It's here. Or I like variety. Every 3 months, there's new drops. It's definitely nice.
So
we're lucky.
You kind of open the door in terms of potency. How do we know it is what it is in terms of how many milligrams that is it? You look on the bag. Does it really match up to that?
So, there's a few things that are confusing about the THC measurements that come on the bag, right? Is that THC measurement the exact potency of that cannabis in the bag? Spoiler alert, no, it is not. The THC number on that bag is the best cola in that whole grow room tested at that percentage. And then that whole grow room, by default, gets to be that percentage. So, is a high THC number something you want to look for? Yes. Is it the whole part of the puzzle about getting a euphoric effect? No, it definitely isn't.
That goes back to that entourage effect we were talking about as well. I've been almost put down by some really low potency cannabis because of obviously other things that were other cannabinoids and other things in it, that entourage effect. So numbers are part of the equation.
So, if I was saying, in a world where you can't look in a bag and see the actual weed and smell it, if I was only going by numbers on a bag, I would look for high THC, but that wouldn't be my only thing that I would be looking for. I'd also be looking for terpenes to probably be over 2%. The higher the better. I'd also be looking for the dominant terpene to be as close to 1%, or maybe a little bit over 1% that it could be. When you have the first couple dominant terpenes being a very high percentage, like 1 or 1.2%, that's when cannabis is going to have a very, very unique smell. That's when cannabis is going to have a very, very unique taste, right? If I were to show you something that 3% terpenes, but it's 8 different terpenes and it's 0.2 of each, that initial terpene number looks high, but when you open that bag, it's just going to sort of smell like weed, right? So, and this is the other thing, right? You're not going to get that information on every single bag of cannabis, right? That information with the terpenes, and especially with the terpene sort of layout, that is going to be something that's going to be offered more from a craft grower, right? Someone who is really taking the time to cultivate and to secure those terpenes. Because, if you're curing your weed and it starts to go above 13 degrees, you're burning off terpenes, right? So it really, really, really comes down to not only being able to grow cannabis it's not only growing great cannabis, but once that cannabis is cut down, it's the process after, right? It's the curing and the drying that is really an art form onto itself. So, you really... unfortunately, I wish it was as simple as, this weed is expensive, it must be really good. It is not that. It is, you really have to do some research, unfortunately. If you're really trying to not waste money and just get a good bang for your buck every time, it's going to take a little bit of research, unfortunately.
Would you say, on average, and again, this is very relative, and every situation is different, but would you say that what is on the bag is usually higher or lower?
I'm going to go with higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would go with higher. It's always going to sort of showcase as he said, sort of that shining star of the room, or they're definitely going around with their testers to try and find the most potent part, because the consumer has been kind of programmed to number chase. So they're always looking to raise those numbers, how they can do it. But, educating the customer is a lot of it, and that's our job. There's definitely a lot more to it than number chasing.
Gotcha.
And terpenes are a whole other game in itself. Like Mike said, you want high terpenes, but if they're fractions of terpenes and there's just a whole list of them, that's not going to really help you out. It's if you have questions, come in, find that local store, not just mine, obviously, this is going out everywhere. Find your local store that has knowledgeable staff that you like and trust. And if you have a bad experience, stop going there, because they're putting you in the wrong thing, or you're talking to the wrong person. So there are people that care, there are people that know, and just find them, support them.
Yep.
You support your employees, and I want to bring that up. We've talked about it before, but it's just so wonderful. The first and only certified living wage recreational cannabis dispensary in Canada's capital. I know what it means. I've learned it from you. Clay, can you hit us up with that once again? What does that really mean?
Absolutely. So we just hit our 3-year anniversary, so we're really proud and happy that we've made it. Those first initial years are always the hardest in a business. But from the get-go, I wanted my staff to be able to afford to live, which is this weird novel idea I had, whereas if you come and give me a full-time work week, I'll give you enough to live. So in Ontario, we have this certified living wage network who sets the living wage in our demographic area in our city, which right now is $21.95 here in Ottawa. And that is minimum wage where you start at Good Nature Cannabis. That is so important to me when I started this. I have very, very low employee turnover. And two, those people that are those shining stars that, build your business and sell for you, they don't have to go somewhere else to make ends meet. They don't have to find a career in the future. If they want to do this, it's here for them. And as we grow, we're going to take our employees with us, promote from within, and grow organically like that. So we're just really, it's just so important to me just to provide great jobs in my community.
Love it. And honestly, I've talked to people with dispensaries, growers, all of it. I've never talked to anybody with a passion that you both have. And now I know why. It's a great place to be, great place to work. It's great products. And you have mentioned before, Clay, if there's anybody that wants to hop on board, maybe invest, maybe be part of it, maybe somebody from the States, you're looking for people, or you would entertain that. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We're looking to grow. We're looking for locations. It's going to be a very strategic, slow growth. We don't want one successful store and one not. We want, a whole slew of successful stores that, create these living wage jobs in communities and benefit kind of everyone, including, investors. So that's our goal in the future for sure.
What's the best way to find you?
You can reach out to us on our website, under the contact button, or at info@goodnaturecannabis.ca. But our website is www.goodnaturecannabis.ca. We'd love to hear from you.
Or if you're ever in the Ottawa area, 1234 Merivale Road, Unit 5, the best unit. Come on by and see Nanook in person. It'll change your life.
And you know what? I'm going to say this. The products can change your life, but meeting both of you and your team, I think, will make a mark on people as well. Both of you, thank you so much for hanging today. All the insight, all the information, very exciting, and looking forward next time we get together.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having us again.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.